Welcome to AP Human Geography. We're looking at Chapter 7, Key Issue 1. Where are the ethnicities distributed? And we're basing this off of The Cultural Landscape by James Rubenstein. Ethnicity. Let's look at some definitions here. Ethnicity is people sharing the same cultural traditions of a hearth. Race, on the other hand, is different. This is people sharing the same biological ancestor. And when it boils down to everything, really we're looking at the color of skin. There's lots of parameters that people used to try to organize race by, but they decided that's not what they could do. So biologically, the only thing we can look at is the color of the skin. Racism is a belief that race determines human traits and capabilities, which leads to a superiority of a particular race. So that's not a good thing, right? Because pretty much we're all equal here. So if you are a person that subscribes to racism, you are a racist. So we're taking a look at an example of ethnicity here, and these are pictures of young President Barack Obama, where we've got him with his father in Kenya, who belonged to the ethnic group Luo. Here he is with his mother, who was born in Kansas, right here in the good old USA, and she had English ancestors. And then with his family there, his stepfather, who was born in Indonesia, to the Javanese ethnic group. So on the census, officially, Barack Obama makes a check on the box that says Black, African American, or Negro. We look at ethnicities in the United States. And what the country tries to do is take a 10-year census to get an idea of what ethnicities and populations we have living here in our country. Interestingly, they have two questions, and you can see all the races here. The ethnicities, actually, that's correct too. All the ethnicities and races here in question 1. And it becomes difficult to distinguish between ethnicity and race because people have so many different backgrounds. But some of the ones they're saying here on question 1, they try to define things by race, with black and white, but we get into gray areas where, we're looking at, okay, well, is Hispanic ethnicity, or, what's the race? And so it does become difficult to distinguish between the two. So the way our census does it here in the United States, they give you question 1 with all of these choices here. And then for question 2, we try to discern if you're Hispanic or some kind of Latino or Spanish origin, what can we categorize you as? Are you Mexican, Mexican American, or Chicano? Are you Puerto Rican, or are you Cuban? So I find it interesting, like, why don't they just put Hispanic as a choice here in question 1? And there is great difficulty. So we look at Asian American. Well, this is an ethnicity. Asian would be our race. African American is our ethnicity. Black is our race. Hispanic is an ethnicity, not a race. So I guess officially Hispanics can identify with any race that they wish, which again seems kind of strange to me. Ethnic clustering, we look at the state scale. So there's distinct grouping or clustering of ethnicities here in the United States. That's very noticeable on the state scale because we see ethnicities clustering in cities. Examples here, we're looking at Michigan. You can see the areas where you have ethnicities. The red is signifying that we're in the major cities. And of course, we're looking at Detroit here, very large grouping population of ethnicities. So Detroit, they're 85% African American. For the rest of Michigan, it's only 7% African American. So obviously, we're all in Detroit. In Chicago, that city is 1/3 African American. The 1/12 rest of Illinois, that's it. There's only 1/12 African American in the rest of Illinois. So they're in the cities. New York City is 1/4 Hispanic, whereas the rest of New York State is just 1/16 Hispanic. Los Angeles is half Hispanic, and San Antonio is half Hispanic. So minorities, ethnicities, we tend to go to the cities. Ethnic clustering at the regional scale. Overall, in general here, we're looking at Hispanics in the Southwest, where you can see large populations here in Arizona, New Mexico, Texas, and California. African Americans, we're looking at the Southeast in Alabama, Georgia, Louisiana, some all the way up as far as Maryland and South Carolina. Asian Americans, We think about the reasons why they traditionally were brought here in proximity. We're looking at them being to the west, mostly Hawaii and California. At the urban scale, what's our clustering look like? Well, originally we had European ethnic groups, and you might think of downtown areas where you have Little Italy and Greek town. But now that's transitioned into Hispanic and African American areas who have moved into those traditionally European areas as the Europeans moved out into the suburbs. So Hispanics and African Americans, we've got 90% live in cities when we specify those demographics, as opposed to 70%, 75% of all Americans live in cities. We look specifically at the city of Chicago, which is over here in this graphic on the shores of Lake Michigan. And on the south side of Chicago, we've got a large population of African Americans, whereas we do see a mix of European, Latin American, and Asian groups on the northern sides, where you can see the large purple area of Hispanics mixed throughout with African Americans and other ethnicities. Los Angeles, here on the shores of the Pacific Ocean, you've got African Americans in South Central, you've got Hispanics in the east, and we've got Asian Americans in the south and the east. Here they are clustered over here and in the east. With any of these scales at national, regional, or urban, we ask, why are ethnicities clustered the way they are? And one of the main things we can claim is chain migration, of course, because when people move, they're going to want to be in an area where people are similar to them, whether that be within a city, in a region of the country, or nationally. So that's our look at Chapter 7, Key Issue 1, The Cultural Landscape by James Rubenstein. Our sources were all based off that textbook. And I'm Andrew Patterson, teaching at Coppell High School, AP Human Geography. Reach out to me with any questions. Thank you for listening.